Right, quick and easy mince. First of all, you'll need some mince. You'll need some ground beef, which I'm using 500 grams of this 12% fat matured Scotch mince beef. Scotch beef is excellent, so I'm expecting great things from this lovely pack of Scotch beef I've picked up. You'll also need some onion, and I'm using about a medium-sized onion which has been finely chopped. I'm using 2 of these cups of frozen mixed vegetables. These have got green beans, peas, carrots and sweet corn in them, and they're a lovely mix and they pad out your mince rather well. Just for flavouring, I've got a teaspoon of tomato paste, tomato puree, and I've got about 2 or 3 cloves of garlic which are pretty finely chopped. For seasonings, I've got salt, pepper, got a little bit of oil over here for if you're getting it all started, and I've got some gravy, brown gravy granules. These are meat gravy granules, and these will be used to thicken and season this wonderful mince dish. Right, let's get started. Okay, so into a hot pan, we want to just cover the bottom of the pan with oil, cooking oil, and then straight in goes the onion, and you give that a good old stir. And what we want to do is we want to keep stirring and frying those onions over high heat until they start to become translucent, and that way we get the best flavour out of them. Once you've got them to that stage, drop in the garlic and stir that in. Once you put your garlic in, don't let it burn, because garlic turns really bitter when it burns. Once you've got that in and stirred in goes your meat. Once your meat's in, make sure you give it a good old stir, get it all mixed in. And you don't want to be using fatty mince for this. 12% is perfectly good enough. 5% is even better if you've got it. And I'm just going to stamp it in and break it up using my my mashing tool. It does a very good job. This is really nice quality mince. And then you keep that on high heat, keep it stirring and frying, and it might ship out a little bit of liquid. So when it does, you just have to carry on through it until it starts frying again, because all that liquid will evaporate as you're stirring. And this is key, because we want to get a brown on that mince. We don't want it to poach in liquid, we want to get it browned. So there you are, you'll see it's starting to ship a bit of liquid now, so I'm just going to carry on through that until it starts to fry again. So it takes a little while till it starts to fry again, but it's worth the effort because you get a lot more flavour out of it if you fry the mince. So you just want to fry that now. Once it starts frying again, for another couple of minutes, and then you should get a kind of characteristic sort of sweet smell coming up from the pan as the sugars in the onion and garlic start to caramelise, and as the meat takes on that gorgeous umami flavour. So it's well worth the effort to go through this stage. And the big mistakes a lot of cooks make is they don't actually get back to frying the mince. They just let it ship the liquid and then carry on from there. Now I'm quite happy with the way that's turned out, so I'm going in with my tomato paste, tomato puree, and I'm not using a lot of tomato. That's just for another little flavour profile in this dish, and it also adds a little bit of colour. We're not making an American chilli. and we're not making an Italian pasta sauce, we're making British beef mince, so we don't need a lot of tomato in it, just a taste of it, just a hint of it. Right, the next thing I need to do is cover that with some water. So I'm going to use my kettle, I'm going to use hot water to save time, and I'll bring that up to the level of the mince, so it's just about at the level of the mince, and then a little bit more, say half a cup more. What we do now is we bring that up to the boil and we simmer it for about half an hour. So it's coming up to the boil now. I'll put the lid on and turn it down to a simmer and leave it that way for half an hour. Okay, the reason we need to let that simmer for half an hour is because beef, although it's lean beef I'm using, it's taken usually from the chuck end of the beast, and it tends to be a little bit sinewy, bit tougher, so it needs to be cooked down. It's still super delicious, but it just needs cooking down for about half an hour. So here we are after half an hour. Let's have a look. Very nice. Let's give it a stir. Right, at this stage we're going to drop in the vegetables. So that's 1 cup, 2 cups of vegetables, and we'll stir those in. And I just want to put the lid back on now, bring that up to a boil and simmer it for about 10 minutes. That way we'll leave a little bit of crunch left in the vegetables and it'll be a bit more tasty and a bit more interesting to eat. So as soon as that comes back up to the boil, I'll turn it down to a simmer and put the lid back on it, and we'll leave that for a good 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes later, and it's boiling away nicely there. Right, we're at that stage where we come to thicken it. So I'm going to take my gravy granules. I get these from Aldi, but you can get Visto ones if you like. I'm going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4 heaped teaspoons. Stir that in and see where we're at. This will add colour and flavour to your mince, and it will thicken it. So thicken. I'm looking at that and seeing, well, it needs a bit more colour and it needs a bit more, probably needs a bit more flavour too. So I'm going to put another 2 in. So that's 6 altogether. That's looking a lot better to me. So it's time for our taste test. We go in with a spoon, give it a taste test. That's really good. I think that's missing a little bit of black pepper. I'm not going to add any more salt, but I'm going to add some black pepper. And I like black pepper, so you just add as much as you like. I tend to go a bit overboard on it myself. Oh, that really is nice. That's just about perfect. I think I'm going to add just a little more of the thickener of the gravy granules, so another 2, so that's 8 in total, because I like it nice and thick. Alright, that's it done. So serving suggestions, I would serve this on mashed potatoes really, but you can serve it with pasta, you can serve it with chips or French fries as you might call them, but it's particularly good with just poured on top of a pile of mashed potatoes. Okay, a top tip I can give you for mince is to let that cool completely, preferably overnight, and then heat it up again, because when you do that it will take on a super special flavour that you only get by leaving it and to cool and to reheat it. So that's just a top tip for you, but frankly I'm going to be serving that in the next few minutes. Okay, let's serve this up. Generous portion of gorgeous fluffy mashed potatoes. There'll be a link to that in the description. And on top of that, generous portion of mince. Gorgeous.